Every morning at exactly 4 a.m., before the birds sang, before sunlight touched the mountains, before the village even dreamed of waking, a rough hand landed on a young boy's shoulder. No clock, no warning, no choice, just one sentence. Wake up. It's time to work. The boy hated those words. He was only 10. His bones still ached from yesterday's labor. His eyelids felt heavier than stone. Every part of him wanted what every child wants: warmth, sleep, softness, another moment beneath the blanket. But in a poor farming village buried between unforgiving mountains, comfort was a luxury no one could afford, and his father did not believe in luxury. Rain or snow, winter or summer, exhaustion or sickness, 4 a.m. was not a suggestion. It was law. Every single morning, while other children slept peacefully, this boy stumbled through darkness beside his father toward fields that demanded everything and returned almost nothing. He carried tools too heavy for his small frame. He hauled water with frozen fingers. He bent his back into stubborn earth before sunrise. Often hungry, always tired. To him, it felt cruel, not discipline, punishment. He did not understand that sometimes the habits we resent most are the very habits preparing us for a future we cannot yet see. His father was a quiet man. He did not give speeches. He did not explain life with long lessons. He taught through repetition, through expectation, through example. One freezing morning, as frost cracked beneath their feet, his father said, "If this family is ever going to rise, you must become stronger than comfort." The boy barely understood, but something invisible was happening. Every early morning was planting something deeper than obedience. Discipline, the kind that moves while exhausted, the kind that works while hurting, the kind that keeps going long after feelings disappear. At 10 years old, the boy thought his father was making his life miserable. He did not know those brutal mornings were building a machine inside him, a machine that one day would separate him from everyone who chose sleep over struggle. He did not know the darkness before dawn would become the birthplace of his power. He only knew this. Every morning at 4 a.m., he rose, and somewhere deep inside, without realizing it, he was being built. His father was iron, but his mother was something else entirely. She was water, quiet, patient, relentless. She never shouted commands in the dark, never forced, never lectured. She simply worked, endlessly, silently, without complaint. In spring, she climbed steep mountain paths gathering mulberry leaves for silkworms, with her young son beside her carrying what he could. In summer, she spun thread until her fingers stiffened. In autumn, she returned to the fields. In winter, she repaired clothes, preserved food, and prepared the household for another difficult season. There was no break, no vacation, no day off, no season where she stopped. And the boy watched. He watched her cracked hands, her tired eyes, her constant movement. His father taught him how to begin. His mother taught him how to endure. His father was discipline. His mother was resilience. And together, without wealth, education, or influence, they gave him something more valuable than money, an invisible inheritance. Because while many children inherit land, status, or opportunity, this boy inherited habits. The habit of rising, the habit of persisting, the habit of carrying responsibility without complaint. But as the years passed, another inheritance began growing inside him too. A question. Every evening after labor, he looked at his parents' exhausted bodies and wondered something dangerous. They worked harder than anyone, harder than merchants, harder than travelers, harder than almost everyone he knew. So why were they still poor? Why did endless labor still lead to hunger? Why did discipline alone not seem enough? He stared at his father's broken hands, his mother's worn face, and for the first time, a painful thought entered his mind. Maybe survival required more than hard work. Maybe effort alone was not the answer. This thought frightened him, because questioning the system you were raised in can feel like betraying the people who built you. But the question would not leave. It followed him through the fields, into the mountains, across every exhausting season. Is there something more? He did not yet know that question would become the spark that changed everything. Because the moment a person stops merely obeying hardship, and starts studying it. Transformation begins. By 14, the boy had learned a truth many adults never fully understand. Working hard is honorable, but working hard without direction can still leave you trapped. He loved his parents. He respected them, but he was terrified of becoming them, not because they were weak, but because they were strong and still stuck. Every night, he lay awake wondering if his future had already been decided. Wake, work, struggle, repeat. Was this all life would ever be? Then one day, he saw a newspaper advertisement about labor jobs in a distant place. Railroad construction. Real wages, real money, far beyond the mountains. His heart raced. For the first time, escape felt possible. Not escape from family, escape from limitation. So before dawn, he left, quietly, with a friend. No grand speech, no certainty, just hunger for something bigger. The railroad work was brutal. Steel, dust, blisters. But there was one life-changing difference. He was paid. For the first time, his labor produced more than survival. It produced possibility, and possibility is dangerous to someone born in confinement. Then his father came, standing there at the worksite, stern and disappointed. "You are the pillar of this family," he said. The boy returned home, but his mind did not. Because once you've seen another world, you cannot unsee it. So he ran again, this time to the capital. A stranger promised him a hotel job. He believed him. The man stole his money and vanished. Penniless, humiliated, and lost. The boy was eventually brought home once more. Failure, again. But now his thinking had changed. He no longer wanted only labor. He wanted knowledge. So on his third attempt, he sold one of his father's cows, the family's most valuable possession, and used the money to attend accounting school. For 2 months, numbers replaced mud, ledgers replaced weeds. His mind came alive. This was different. This was strategy. But then his father arrived, and this time, the old man cried. No anger, no shouting, just heartbreak. The boy returned home again. 3 attempts, 3 failures, and winter was coming. That winter felt merciless. The harvest failed. Food shrank. Cold consumed every room. His younger siblings huddled together at night, thin and trembling. His parents still worked, still rose, still endured. But now even discipline seemed powerless against reality. And the boy broke. 3 escapes, 3 humiliations, 3 returns. He had failed as a son, failed as a dreamer, failed as an escape artist. Night after night, he stared into darkness, asking himself the question that destroys so many futures. What if I am simply not enough, not smart enough, not strong enough, not meant for more? That question almost ended him. Then, one freezing evening, he remembered a story his grandfather once told him. A green frog wanted to reach a high willow branch. It jumped, fell, jumped again, fell again. 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. Still, it continued, and eventually, it reached the branch. The boy sat silently, then whispered, "Am I less determined than a frog?" Something changed. He realized his failures were not proof of impossibility. They were proof of unfinished effort. The railroad had taught him labor beyond farming. The scam had taught him caution. The school had taught him systems. Every fall had prepared the next jump. Suddenly, shame became training. Pain became education. Failure became fuel. By morning, he had decided he would leave again, not as a reckless child, as a disciplined man. This time, he carried something more powerful than hope, preparation, and before sunrise, at the same hour his father had trained into him for years, he rose, 4 a.m., but this time, he woke himself. The capital did not welcome him. It tested him. He arrived with nothing, no money, no status, no connections, only discipline. He took brutal jobs, carrying bricks, mixing concrete, sweeping floors, anything, everything. But here was the difference. He was already built for hardship. While others complained, he moved. While others slept, he was awake. His childhood had prepared him for this battlefield. Then came a small opportunity. A rice shop needed a delivery boy. No salary. Only meals and monthly rice. Most would refuse. He accepted instantly because he understood something many never do. Never underestimate small beginnings. From day one, he treated the shop like it was his own. He arrived before sunrise, cleaned obsessively, organized precisely, memorized customers, learned patterns, built trust. The old owner noticed. This was not ordinary work ethic. This was identity. One night, the owner held up a grain of rice. "Alone, it seems worthless," he said, "but planted properly, it can feed generations." Then he looked at the boy. "You are like this grain." For the first time, someone outside his family recognized his potential. And suddenly, everything connected. His father's discipline, his mother's endurance, his failures, his hunger. None of it had been wasted. He had not been cursed. He had been cultivated. At night, after deliveries, he studied the shop's books. He used the accounting skills his father's tears had once interrupted. Expenses, margins, inventory. Quietly, he improved everything. Waste dropped, profits rose, systems sharpened. The owner was astonished. For decades, he had worked hard, but this young man was doing something different. He was combining discipline with intelligence, labor with leverage. Within months, he controlled the books. Within years, he transformed the business. Customers traveled farther because they trusted him. The shop became one of the street's most reliable businesses. Then one afternoon, the owner called him in. "My son wants comfort without sacrifice," the old man said. "He will destroy this." Then came the words that changed history. "I am leaving this shop to you." At 22 years old, the boy who once worked muddy fields at dawn now owned a thriving business in the capital. He did not celebrate wildly. He bowed because he understood. This was not luck. This was compounded discipline. Years of invisible mornings, finally becoming visible. The rice shop was not the end. It was the beginning. From rice came supply chains. From supply chains came construction. From construction came manufacturing. From manufacturing came industry. Over decades, the boy built an empire. Roads, factories, ships, vehicles, a company powerful enough to help shape a nation. But if you asked where it all began, not in a boardroom, not with investors, not with privilege. It began in darkness, at 4 a.m., with a father's hand, a mother's sacrifice, a boy's resistance, and eventually, a boy's decision to transform discipline into destiny. My friend, this story carries a truth most people ignore. We search for breakthroughs, secrets, shortcuts. But greatness is often built somewhere far less glamorous, in repetition, in unseen mornings, in habits formed before success arrives. His greatest inheritance was not money, it was discipline. And if no one gave you that inheritance, build it yourself. Wake up, show up, work, learn, persist, because no honest labor is wasted when paired with growth. No painful season is meaningless when it builds capacity. And no empire appears suddenly. It is built one disciplined morning at a time. So, if your life feels small right now, if your work feels invisible, if your struggle feels unfair, remember this boy. Remember the frog. Remember the grain of rice. And remember, the habits you hate today may become the empire you build tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, wake up a little earlier. Not because 4 a.m. itself is magic, but because discipline begins the moment you choose purpose over comfort. Take 1 hour, one focused hour before excuses, noise, and distraction take over your life. Use it. Build your skill. Strengthen your mind. Learn something valuable. Because your future may not change in a single breakthrough, but it can absolutely change through repeated mornings no one applauds. And if this story made you think of your father, your mother, your grandparents, anyone who sacrificed silently so you could stand on stronger ground, honor them, not just with gratitude, with action. Become proof that their suffering meant something. Become the harvest of the seeds they planted. And if you needed this reminder today, share this story with someone who is tired, discouraged, or ready to give up. Because sometimes people do not need more motivation. They need one story that reminds them who they can still become. Remember this: Empires are not built in one dramatic moment. They are built when ordinary people choose discipline, again and again, long before the world notices. So tomorrow morning, when your comfort tells you to sleep, ask yourself, am I building comfort or am I building my empire? Your answer may change your life forever.